the most part, the creative gears of the gaming industry are set to churn out high-definition games. The only problem is that, until recently, that industry's been dominated by a console built from last-generation technology. And it's been very interesting to see the different approaches companies have taken to developing for the underpowered Nintendo Wii. Take Square Enix, for example. They've approached Wii development by basically ignoring the console altogether. Which brings us to Mario Sports Mix, one of the very few Wii games Square Enix has developed in-house for a retail release. And if the poor reviews this game has gotten prove anything, it's that Mario sports games are best left to Nintendo themselves. And that, if this is the best they're gonna do, perhaps the Wii is best left alone by Square Enix. Released earlier this month here in the States, Mario Sports Mix is a kind of spiritual sequel to Mario Hoops 3-on-3, a 2006 Nintendo DS game that has many of the same problems and was developed by Square Enix. If not for past experience, you might call this game a surprising disappointment, but in reality, Mario Sports Mix is simply a newer, shinier version of Mario Hoops 3-on-3. For those keeping score at home, that's not a good thing. Without getting into each of the game's 4 sports individually, there are a few general problems with the package as a whole. If you're expecting this to be a compilation with individual components that are as fun as, say, Mario Power Tennis or Super Mario Strikers, forget it. The primary difference between Mario Sports Mix and those Mario Sports Classics is one of composition. They were arcade sports games. This feels like a minigame collection. Now that may seem like an arbitrary criticism, but it becomes obvious once you start playing. None of these games have any depth. In fact, you feel like you're playing longer versions of Mario Party minigames more than full sports games. From the controls to the gameplay, everything's just too shallow to hold your interest longer than a few minutes. Of course, the plus side to that is that Mario Sports Mix is easy to play, which does make it a good party game. The games essentially use the same control scheme, with only a few buttons necessary to pass and shoot or throw and slam and whatever. It's simple to grasp, which makes getting 4 players involved a lot easier, and that's when the game is really at its best. Speaking of its best, the best games in the package are hockey and volleyball. They come the closest to feeling like actual Mario sports games, despite not really coming close whatsoever. And on the other hand, basketball is just as drab as it was on the DS 4 years ago. In fact, sans tapping, it feels almost identical, and dodgeball is even worse. For all the things it's done well, the Wii has obviously had its fair share of disappointments as well. I've always thought its relative lack of Mario sports games, particularly in light of Wii Sports, was a real missed opportunity. And with the exception of Mario Strikers Charged, the Mario sports games that have come to Wii have been disappointing at best. This one adds insult to injury. Don't confuse Mario Sports Mix with other Mario sports games. This one isn't in the same arena as Mario Superstar Baseball or Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. In fact, it's not even in the same league. Despite the decent graphics and online multiplayer, there just isn't much to keep you playing the game itself. And unless you're looking for a sports-themed party game alternative, Mario Sports Mix is firmly entrenched at the bottom of the standings.